What's up, everybody? We're back.
Oh my God.
Hey, welcome back. Welcome back to another episode here of a Metalhead's Journey. Hey, we're taking another step down the list here of our top 50 metal albums of all time. We've made it to number 19, and that is the all-time great Ozzy Osbourne and the album Diary of a Madman. Right. So, yep, let's get in here to a little bit of history, and we'll get into talking about the album. I did something a little bit different here for this. So obviously Ozzy's name is on the record, and full transparency, we are going to have Blizzard of Oz coming up in a few albums as well. So I'm going to do a quick blurb about Ozzy here, but I'm going to do a little bit more focus on Randy Rhoads in this conversation, because I think this is more of the Randy Rhoads record. So Ozzy Osbourne, formerly of Black Sabbath, is an English singer from Birmingham. After his dismissal from Black Sabbath and an additional 3-month coke and booze bender, he formed a solo band, the Blizzard of Oz. His solo career has been wildly successful. He's released 13 studio albums, won Grammys, sold over 100 million records, and is a member of the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame as a member of Black Sabbath. Nice. Randy Rhoads, formerly of Quiet Riot, was an American guitarist from Santa Monica, California. Randy's originally educated in classical guitar. Randy combined these early influences with heavy metal, helping to form a subgenre later known as neoclassical metal. Rhoads is considered to be one of the best metal guitarists of all time, and might have been the best if not for his premature death at the age of 25 in a plane crash while on the Diary of a Madman tour. Besides an enormous amount of fan love, he's also been recognized by the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame in 2021 as a recipient of the Musical Excellence Award. So he is actually inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, which is cool.
Hell yeah.
I mean, can you call yourself a heavy metal singer if you haven't had a bender like that?
Probably. Diary of a Madman was released in 1981, and it's Ozzy's second record. The album peaked at number 16 on the Billboard charts and sold over 3 million copies. Sadly, this is the last album to feature Randy Rhoads on guitar. The lineup for the album features Ozzy on vocals, Randy on guitars, Bob Daisley on bass, and Lee Kerslake on drums. Due to some internal strife, Daisley and Kerslake were fired after the recording of the album and replaced with Rudy Sarzo on bass and Tommy Aldridge on drums. The album produced 3 singles: Flying High Again, Over the Mountain, and Tonight.
Right on.
Nice.
All right, so let's hit the metal rundown. So let's just start on musicianship. And I think there's an easy place to start here, and his name rhymes with Randy Rhoads. Look, man, this to me is absolutely the Randy Rhoads show. I don't think you could say enough about his compositions. Just some of my notes. His style is unmatched, and he was an innovator of an entire subgenre. Right. I don't know, dude. I think there's a reason why heavy metal musicians and heavy metal fans are still talking about this dude 30 years, 40 years later, right? Like, he was an innovator at the time.
Yeah.
He was way ahead of his time.
Like, I always shit on the Beatles and bands of that sort. I just do. I fucking hate them. And people are like, well, if it weren't for the Beatles, there would be no this and that. Look, that's great and fine, but none of the bands I love or care about sound like the Beatles. I don't hear the Beatles in any of the bands I love and care about. But
by the way, Ozzy was a huge Beatles fan.
Oh, well, the Beatles fucking suck. Sorry, Ozzy. But I do hear Randy Rhoads and just, Ozzy Osbourne in general in literally all of the bands I fucking love. So I'm right. Couldn't agree more, Josh. Innovator, fucking fantastic guitarist. This is the Randy Rhoads show. And yeah, hey, look, not to outshine anybody else on this album, but Randy Rhoads, man, that's what this album is all about to me.
Yeah.
So yeah,
I mean, look, you can literally point to any track and find a great guitar moment. Like I struggle to find like an individual highlight. There's so many great moments on here from Randy Rhoads. So, Dave, you look like you're trying to choke back something that you don't agree with here.
You mentioned something that everybody is still talking about Randy Rhoads to this day, and there's a reason. And I'm going to be honest, I would like to know what that reason is, because
just heard it.
I'm not hearing it. I'm gonna be honest with you. I think let me just, before anybody loses themselves, I think overall the record is good, right? I'm not discrediting the record, but maybe it's the build up, maybe it's the hype, the aura of Randy Rhoads, everything I've heard about him leading up to this. I was like, okay, let me strap myself in because this is gonna be a bumpy ride, and it's like we were in. I mean, I feel like I was in the school zone. Like I do not hear the level of innovation. Now, maybe it's because I'm hearing it in reverse, right? Because I've already heard all the people that he influenced, right? And I'm hearing.
Dave, I was prepared for this argument.
That's fine.
So let me talk to you about a little movie called Blade Runner. Okay, so my issue obviously with Blade Runner was, it was like, you and Jason are like, oh, the world building, it's so cool, right? And I think, right, and I said this in our Blade Runner review, if we go back to the time when Blade Runner came out, I would be like, holy shit, like, this is some next level shit, okay? But look, I've seen good movies since then. I've seen Star Trek, and I've seen Star Wars, and I've seen all these other movies. And so, yeah, it does taint the novelty or maybe the originality of what Blade Runner was, right? So that's just what you're saying, Dave. That's okay. That's okay.
Okay, like I keeping it about the music, right? So I mean, I appreciate where you were going with that, but like, look, there are moments on here, guitar moments specifically. Like I think "Diary of a Madman," right? The song specifically is excellent, and it really showcases for me like the talent that Randy Rhoads had, and maybe that's just more of because it kind of feeds into like the evil Ozzy that I appreciate, right? Because that's kind of what I'm missing on some chunks of this record.
Well, it's also the proggiest song on this record too. I mean, that's the one that does more off tempo time signatures and things like that. So I think it's probably a little bit more in your wheelhouse.
Yeah, it's got a little bit more going on for me. And like I said, I'm not going to disparage anybody that look. Anybody in the comment section want to write a diatribe of why Randy Rhoads is like the greatest of all time?
It directly to Dave.
That's fine.
Yes.
You can write anything that you want to, but it's not going to change my opinion. I think that if I'm being completely honest, I think people look on him with rose-tinted glasses. I'm just being completely real. I don't see it. I don't think that there's very much here that really. I think if you grew up at the time and you listened to this when it was fresh and new, sure, right? I'm sure it was amazing, but as Josh said, unfortunately, other music has come out that I've heard since this was released, and
you don't see it yet, Dave. But we're getting to Blizzard, so
hey, look,
don't see it yet.
I've only got half the story, so yes, maybe the other side of the story will open my eyes here, right? So
yeah, I thought it was solid by all as far as the bass is concerned. It flows and slips in and out, kind of with the rhythm.
Bob Daisley is an animal on this album.
Yeah, and there's certain sections where he's on his own. I mean, just the way I like bass, but the guitar work and for me, Ozzy are the MVP.
Yeah, I mean, look, the song Tonight might as well just be a bass solo. Dude, that is just so good, and that whole melody is driven by the bass, which is super good. But I don't know. I think the album, like you said, Jason, does a good job of really highlighting everybody here, which bleeds into my entertainment of the record. I think the entertainment value for me is very high. Album comes in at just over 43 minutes. It's an easy listen, and I think there continues to be a variety of styles here, as we've seen in some of the other albums we've had. Where we have some straight ahead headbangers. We have a couple of slow songs to kind of mellow you out. And then, like we talked about with Diary of a Madman being like, basically a prog metal song. Yeah. So I think entertainment-wise, 8 songs, super, super entertaining.
Yeah, I'll go next because I have a feeling the two of them are going to praise it more than me. I think the middle of the album, it kind of drags for me a bit. Now, I did come around on one of the songs that I originally had as kind of the that I kind of lumped in the middle part. And that song is Believer. I ended up liking Believer over time. But I think Little Dolls Tonight, and specifically Little Dolls and Tonight, really kind of like drag that middle part of the record for me. I could do without those two songs, like completely. Sato is fine.
I could do without you on this video.
Sato is fine. It's a fine song. But again, my brain ends up wanting to skip it because I want to get to Diary already. The first 4 songs, though, I think are very, very good, very, very enjoyable, and they go really fast. Like, I mean, it's half the record, so like it's really enjoyable first 4 songs for me, and then Diary coming in at the end is really enjoyable.
I'll go next.
What you got, Jason? Yeah,
I'm going to piggyback a little bit on Josh. What Josh said. It has a little something for everybody. There are dark songs or darker tracks. There's also some heavier sections, just some slow sections. It's a very vibe-driven. I feel like Ozzy is a storyteller more than just throwing some words together. So, like I said, for me, it's a I don't want to say just a smorgasbord or anything like that, but I mean, there is a little bit for everybody.
Yeah. So full transparency for me is, I feel like there's a lot of nostalgia for me with this album, and maybe that could be blinding me in my views on it and my take on it, and ultimately the score I'm going to give it. But I just fucking love this album. I feel like it's so easy to get through. And the evil that David looks for. I mean, the songs that that evil exists in, dude. I mean, it's. I feel like it's Ozzy's best shit. Not including Black Sabbath, right? And even there's an argument for that too. Even, but we're not arguing about that. So yeah, I love this album, guys. Like, the entertainment is obviously for me very high.
Yeah. Well, let's get into top tracks. Dave, you go first because I don't want to hear you talk anymore after after you say this. So.
Look, man, I look. Don't be that way. I did enjoy myself on this record. I think my score will reflect that. Anyway, look, I'm gonna pick some of the low hanging fruit, I'm sure. But Flying High Again, great song. Incredible vocals. From
Is that your
Ozzy.
number 3?
That's my number 3. Yeah. Over the Mountain opening track is amazing. I think it starts off the record like super high energy. I was into it right from the get-go with that 1-2 punch. I'm gonna just, before I name my number 1, which is probably obvious, my honorable mention is Believer. I became a believer in that song because initially I was not feeling that song. But I woke up and I was like, you know what, that song is actually really good. So that would be my number 4. But number 1 is Diary of a Madman. That song is just absolutely excellent. It's unfortunate that our reaction of that, of me hearing that for the first time, didn't get to be on YouTube because of copyright and all that good stuff. So, excellent song. So
cool. I'll pop in. So my number 3 is going to be Diary of a Madman. Great song. Number 2 is Over the Mountain. Man, I fucking love that intro drum fill. I'll tell you from experience, it's a panty dropper. Now, Believer.
From experience.
Oh yeah, Believer is my number 1. I feel that bass intro is so iconic, and I recently got into playing the bass last year quite a bit. And whenever I'm normally tuned to D, but whenever I tune down to E, just fucking around, Believer is always the first bass line I go through to make sure I'm tuned right. So,
dude, and the guitar riff that comes in with that is so good too, man.
Dude, the solo on Believer, bro.
Dude.
Like, holy shit. Yeah.
Yep. Fossil, what you got?
All right, I got an honorable mention because I have a tie first. So my honorable mention is You Can't Kill Rock and Roll.
That's a good song.
So number 3 is Sato. And my tie, basically, for number 1 or 2, I think if I had more time to listen to this, I could probably figure out a distinction of which one I like better. But Flying High Again and Diary of a Madman. And I will say, I'm going to slightly agree with Dave. And me and him, we didn't really get a chance to talk about this album, but where he said that, kind of the middle songs were kind of a letdown for him. My 3 lowest scores, taking it with a grain of salt here because it's still a great album, were Believer, Little Dolls, and Tonight.
Damn.
Look, Josh, we know you love this record, so I'm trying to be as constructive as humanly possible.
All right, so here we go. Honorable mentions. I got Flying High Again, Sato, Little Dolls, Tonight.
I knew he was gonna fucking do that shit. Yeah,
my top 3. I got
second song.
Yeah, top 3. I got number 3. You Can't Kill Rock and Roll, dude. I love the fucking the message of that song. So good. Believer at number 2, dude, just an unstoppable song. And look, Diary of a Madman, maybe that's a low-hanging fruit, but that song is it's my favorite Ozzy song, so it's got to be number 1 on here.
Yeah, nice.
Yeah.
So, all right, let's jump into audio production here real quick. So this does use Max Norman for the original production, who is returning from the Blizzard of Oz as a producer as well. So he did the first 2 Ozzy records. Some of the stuff that we did kind of pick up along the way. The album was re-released in 2002, seemingly due to some legal issues between Bob Daisley, Lee Kerslake, and the Ozzy Osbourne folks. They actually re-recorded the bass and drums for this re-release in 2002 with Rob Trujillo and Mike Borden, who were in Ozzy's band at the time.
Yeah.
In 2011, a deluxe 30th anniversary edition was released where the original bass and drum parts were restored on there. So that's the version that we've listened to.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say, Josh. Yeah, we listened to the current version, basically.
Very interested in hearing the Rob Trujillo version, if I'm being honest with you guys.
I don't know that it's on streaming services.
Yeah, I don't know. So I rebought it. I rebought the record whenever they re-released it. And I mean, look, dude, what do I know? I'm a fucking idiot, right? I mean, I don't hear a difference in it. It's not like the bass was all of a sudden just more forward, and the drumming was exactly the same. Like it was still the fucking intro to Over the Mountain and everything. So
just as you said earlier, it was just the giant middle finger doing that essentially, right?
I mean, it's just like Taylor Swift now going back and re-recording all of her albums because she can't get the royalties from her old albums or the originals or whatever from her old albums.
Masters.
Yeah, masters. There you go.
Damn.
So, but look, with all the remasters, the album sounds great.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think there's not. I mean, for me, there's not a whole lot to say. I mean, I think it sounds incredible as far as from a production standpoint. You can hear all the instruments incredibly clear. Yeah. There's no complaints from a. It sounds like a very well recorded record from my standpoint.
For its time.
I'm gonna disagree slightly for the audio, and I only say this because I don't know if it's meant to sound a certain way or anything like that. And the fact that we've listened to some older albums that have been remastered, they're exceptionally clean, very clear. This album for me, while clean and clear, sounds slightly muted, and I don't know if that's just the way they originally recorded it. It just sounds a little less than it could be.
Do you mean like the guitars specifically?
No, just in general,
Gotcha.
Across the board. Like the volume just seems a little, I don't know, to me, just a little bit, a notch below some of the quality we've heard some of these remasters, especially in these the last few albums.
Did you turn the
And that's
volume
not
up on your phone? I don't know.
Look, I was gonna make a hearing aid joke, even though Jason doesn't have a hearing aid. So,
Thank God.
All right, well, hey, let's move into the legacy and the rating of the album. Look, I mean, I feel like legacy of the album, when you talk about Ozzy and you talk about the first 2 records, I think there's I think the fan base is divided a lot of times between like which album is better, Blizzard or Diary of a Madman, right? And I'm of the camp that I think Diary of a Madman is the better of the two records for me personally. But I mean, obviously, Blizzard of Oz tends to be the more commercial one. It's got Crazy Train on it, obviously, so that's the one more people have heard. So I tend to lean towards Diary of a Madman as being my favorite Ozzy record. But I'm not going to give my score yet because I want to let Dave give his first, so I can get my anger out of the way, and so I can save this video.
Look, Dave, I'll do mine before you. All right.
Okay.
Legacy. Look, guys, this album's gonna fucking stand the test of time. All right. It just is. And like I said earlier, I hear Randy Rhoads and just this style of music and all this shit I love still to this day. I'm giving this an 8.9.
Nice.
Okay. I'll go next.
Okay, you want to go next?
I'll go next. Yeah, because yeah. So look.
That way,
look.
Josh has some time to cool off.
Yeah. So look, I made some Ozzy fans probably upset. And before we continue, I should have mentioned this, so apologies. So we have our own proprietary rating system. So for us, anything 5 or greater on our scale is considered a recommendation. Anything under 5 is something we would not recommend. So unlike most things, like, so for example, if you hear a 6, like something greater than a 6, like just a 6.5, that's still a B tier for us, right? So just to
Dave,
keep that in
you better
mind.
not be giving this record anything with a 6 in front of it.
So, that being said, I am at a 6.9 on this record.
You couldn't give it a 7?
No, I couldn't. I was at a 6.8 and I raised it to a 6.9 because it deserved that extra little funny number.
Also, yeah, 69. Ayo.
So look, I think this belongs on the list. I do appreciate the record, right? I do appreciate it for what it is, but and I did enjoy it, but like for me, it just barely deserves to be on the list. Like I think there's so much better material that we've heard than this personally. That's just where I'm at with it.
Yeah, definitely deserves to be on the list. Sorry, I forgot to mention.
Yeah.
All right. So what'd you give it?
I gave it a 6.9. Yeah.
Okay. So for me, this is a very solid album. I do like Ozzy. I do like his vocal style. I do not love Ozzy enough to go buy his albums, but I'll listen to them on Spotify that I pay for. But this is a very strong album, start to finish. And like Adrian said, this album absolutely stands the test of time. There's nothing dated, in my opinion. There's nothing harking to a period piece where you could be like, oh my God, what the fuck are they singing? In my opinion, it, again, strong, start to finish. It deserves absolutely to be on the list. I gave it this was very difficult. I gave it a 7.0, only because I liked the Judas Priest album better, and I gave it a 7.1.
Ah.
But it's right there.
Hey, look, I'll take the 7. Dave is being like that snooty math teacher that won't give you the the roundup
Bump
there.
up.
Yeah. Listen, this is Ozzy and Black Sabbath. They're like my second favorite artist behind Metallica. This is my favorite Ozzy record. It's fantastic. I just wanted to make sure to call out one thing here. This album would not be as good if it didn't have Bob Daisley writing the lyrics for it. He did most of the lyric writing for the album as well. And dude, there's some good stuff on this record. Look, I'm coming in with a pretty good score here. I think this is going to be a 9.3 for me.
Nice.
Wow.
Strong.
That is strong, Josh. That is just because that's a really high score for you. That is the second highest score you've ever given so far.
Yep.
On this list. So, fantastic score. Overall, look, you guys are getting mad at me about my score, but look, overall, we're at 8.03. That's one of the highest scores we've given overall. So that is an A tier record, which for us is, again, our, just for those keeping score, our average as a group is 6.2. So I put it well above our group average, and it is sitting at an 8.03. So
Yeah,
And you still scored it too low.
I also want to.
it has 3 skippers.
I also want to say this for it, like, because this is an A tier album, right? You need to understand that there are 4 different people weighing on this album. It's not just one person, so it is harder to score high.
Yeah.
And look, this album, absolutely deserves to be where it's at.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
So, yep, that's all I got.
Yeah, when you're surrounded by assholes, it's harder to score the records high. Hey, I hope you like this kind of content. Hope you liked the video. If you did, give us a like, give us a subscribe. We're putting out weekly metal content. We got reviews, reactions, all kinds of good stuff. So hope you keep sticking around, checking us out. In the meantime, live long and prosper.
Take it easy, everybody.
See you.
Send all your hate to Dave. Later.
Ozzy rules.